Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to the Nordic Championship Spring Finals for League of Legends. We've already seen game number 1 get completed, and it did go over to PPK. They had a couple of rough patches in the middle, but pulled it out in the end. Now we look, of course, towards the picks and bans for game number 2. Coming out of that, any immediate changes you want to see made? You were surprised at Olaf being given up so easily by Atlantis last game. Think that might change?
I think with how the game went, I could see them giving up the Olaf again. It was not the biggest of factors. Aesthetic tried to punish Kronos early on, but wasn't able to do too much since the solo laners were not able to keep up with him on these big invades. So the Olaf, not a big issue in game 1.
No, so what was the big issue in game 1? Do you see any draft changes, or is it all going to come down to what happens once they're onto the map, where the champion's not so much of a deal?
I think one thing that really established when we're talking here in the pause is that Atlantis were able to win the lanes very decisively, except for the top lane, of course, where Svenny got really targeted and counterpicked. But both mid and bottom lane, they were able to win, they were able to get the towers. But then what? They had a big scaling comp. They did not have a comp that can just win the lanes and then transition into winning the game easily from there. So I don't think the drafted suited Atlantis' playstyle too much. I would have liked to see them now in game 2 to go with a more perhaps of a early game sieging or diving team comp that can utilize winning lanes into like making a big snowball happen in the mid game rather than waiting to the late game.
So potentially you think Atlantis would prefer literally switching the team compositions. If they ended up with that more engage heavy composition which PPK had, you think their skill in the lane phase, just being able to win those outright, maybe transitions well into fights at that point with a more engage focused mid game.
I don't think that would be a terrible idea, but we are about to find out, Sang, as we are into the picks and bans.
Absolutely. Galio being banned quickly, since Eternity not going to be able to play that. Again, together with Swain and Cassiopeia.
Yes, Swain, I'm expecting to see him on the ban list for all of the tournament. Case as well was taken off in game number 1, so it's going to be the same thing here in game 2. I'm interested to see if this Saya is going to come through here on the bans, as the Saya Rakan lane is one of the strongest in the game, and if you do not ban either of them here, that is the possibility to pick in the next rotation here for Atlantis. And getting something like a Saya Rakan into a Caitlyn or a Braum or something would give so much playmaking potential over to Raphael and Lion, and we saw in game number 1 how well they were able to utilize a small advantage in the 1v1.
Absolutely. When it comes to the bottom lane and just the laning in general, I must say that Lion and Raphael were absolutely on point. They were all over Cookie and Kerp. And of course, Cookie and Kerp, they play kind of a passive style, so it works out for them as well. But at the same time, Raphael had pretty decisive lead after the lane phase. Not something that you can't allow if you play, for example, some more carry and mid-game oriented champions instead of Caitlyn. Taliyah now banned, and the first pick about to be chosen by PPK.
I don't think Caitlyn is too much of a Cookie champion. I think he really shines on the better scaling champions like a Varus or a Tristana, something like that. So they are actually going to be giving up the Caitlyn here and go with the Skarner instead. Could be a Caitlyn response here for Atlantis. And again, I'm looking towards Sion just as a very solid top lane pick. He is really the tank with the best wave clear in the game, perhaps. So getting something like a Sion Caitlyn here would be pretty good, since you don't need to pick the Olaf right now. You can take the Olaf in the next rotation, because of course PPK has already picked their jungler.
And Team Atlantis picking up the Caitlyn for Raphael. It worked in the early stages of game 1. It probably would have continued work if the match had gone on a little bit longer for the next power spike of that champion. No bans against Kerp this time. It's been nothing on the supports, and it is the Olaf pick in the end, deciding to go for it in the first rotation.
You generally don't want to blind pick your support. Braum is one of those few champions that support champions that can be blind picked, however, so I would not be too surprised to see KRP go with the Braum in this rotation if they really want to save their solo lane picks to counter, which I would love. And that is a flex pick coming in strong. Could go to Eternity as a mid lane Karma, or could go to KRP as a support Karma. And I love this, because Karma, if you'd pick it up straight up as a support champion, it could be easily countered out by an aggressive lane like a Thresh or something. But with the flex possibility, I think it's definitely a good pick at this point. And the Camille has gotten through the ban phase. I did not even see that. That is big.
Yeah, we did not talk about it. Camille getting through the ban phase, being picked now up for Finn. And we talked about Finn being kind of carry top lane and went with the Renekton last game. And now he's instead on Camille, the big duelist. So that is huge.
Yeah, one of the strongest top laners can be flexed into the jungle, at least theoretically. But of course, with the Skarner locked in, it's going to be a top lane Camille. And with the Sion response, that is the top laner talked about earlier, it's going to be a rough matchup for Svenny. Early on, he's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with the Camille. Has so much wave clear, has so much survivability in the kit as the Sion. But as we go later, as we go 2.5, 3 items for Finn, he's going to be solo killing Svenny. He's going to be putting down so much pressure off in towards the side lane. And with the Cassidy ban coming in, it looks like Atlantis is expecting this Karma to go to KRP, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. KRP plays a mean Karma, definitely, but it can still go to mid lane, obviously. The Cassidy ban mentioned, and now the Rise ban for PPK.
I'm a bit surprised to see Atlantis not targeting the AD carry pool for Cookie. At the moment, there are just so few strong AD carries, and with Caitlyn already off the table. The big two that are still left open are Varus and Tristana. If both of those would have gotten banned out here instead of the Cassidy, that could have been a... Cassidy and the Syndra, that could have been a good strategy to force Cook into something less confident. But we saw last game a good Ezreal come out from him as well, so perhaps he is hard to ban out.
Absolutely. It's a difficult thing to do to ban out all of the strong ADCs versus Cookie, as he has been quite consistent, but I do agree that he definitely wants to go for the big carry marksman. Now it's a Syndra ban in mid lane, so it's all about that mid. Cassidy, Syndra, Rise, and just as I said, it's all about mid. There was nothing left to ban, so there is also the Alistar ban.
With all these mid laners banned, there is still a Seer open. One of the strongest picks in the middle at the moment, a Krogson favorite champion. He's been doing so well on that early run in the tournament. Not the greatest performance in the last game, though, so he might be looking towards more of a supportive champion like the Orianna, but he shows me that you're not supposed to talk about hovers in the pick bat and lost him this year.
So very similar team comp so far for Atlantis. We see the Caitlyn again, the Asir again, and the Olaf again. What switched up is the top lane, where it's now a Sion instead of the Ornn from game number 1. PPK, on the other hand, switching it up a lot, now showing Corki for the mid lane, and finally going to reveal their marksman.
Could go for something like an Ezreal, but I think the big thing here is the Corki getting locked in shows that it's going to be KRP on the Karma, which gives Lion the opportunity for a counterpick of a ranged Ardent support. Something like a Thresh would be very fun to see. It would be a good way to punish this Karma, and a good combination together with the Caitlyn as well. You can use the traps in the Thresh CC combo. Even something super aggressive like a Leona would be really cool, although perhaps not the strongest choice in the world. Can just go for something safe like a Nami. That's going to be the lock-in right there. It is a good matchup for the Nami, but she's not the most standard support that we see at the moment.
No, absolutely. Nami is not the support that we usually see. I do like it as a counter for Karma and Ezreal, as Nami has so much sustain, and together with the Tidecaller's Blessing, she can also power up the auto attacks of Raphael. So we got a good laning. We saw from game 1 that they still control their lane, no problem. So I don't really worry too much about it for this one.
So, bottom lane, still seemingly pretty safe, comfortable lane, as you mentioned from the first game. Going to stay down there. I want to talk top, because you were very excited about Camille making it through the ban phase and how strong she is in a 1v1 duel setup. Finn now going to have a tough time up there.
Is it Finn on the Camille, though?
Sorry, yes.
I believe it's Finn on the Camille,
yes,
yeah. So
exactly.
he has the carry top laner
Still backwards.
up against Svenny on the Sion, which is a champion that works very much like the Ornn that went last time, just a big tank with a lot of shields and CC later on. Early on, he has so good wave clear, he can pretty much one-shot a minion wave, so he will be able to keep Camille at a distance, but later on it's going to be super difficult for him in the 1v1. I also think that Camille is one of those champions that really provides so much engage and CC later on with both the hookshot and the hextech ultimatum. Just shut someone down, and without the Tom Kennis that he had last game, with both Camille and Skarner jumping in, and you not having a Tom Kench to save you, you're going to need so many QSSs, you're going to need to stay so far back and be so afraid of all this engage coming from PPK.
Well, we'll find out how afraid they are exactly, because we're ready with game number 2. We're going to dive straight in and not hang around. Let's see if PPK can get a 2-0 lead, or if Atlantis can get it back in group.
Indeed, we will, as we are now again back on the Summoner's Rift, watching these two teams again duke it out. It's PPK versus Atlantis. And now Atlantis on the red side, PPK on the blue side, of course, with Corky in mid lane versus the Asir. For game one, Eternity fell quite behind versus Krogson. And Krogson on his Asir has definitely in the lane phase been very dominant so far. Raphael as well down bottom lane together with Lion. With Tom Kench for game one, a very defensive support. Still managed to put so much pressure onto Cookie and Kerp. This time, both sides are playing much more aggressive.
Yeah, for sure. And we talked about the Tom Kench not synergizing too well with the Caitlyn when it comes to pushing down the towers early. But with a Nami, that is so much pressure going down early on. Nami, not the most amount of wave clearance that Karma is going to be providing more there, but just when it comes to poking down the enemy champions and sustaining with a heal as well, Nami is going to be a lot stronger. KRP with this Karma, though, one of the big abusers of the new ultimate hat in the runes, so we'll be able to get some very short cooldowns on those mantras. Still, I think this is a good lane for Raphael and Lion for sure.
Aesthetic again opting to start at his red buff, so going for the same route, going very low on mana, as you mentioned in game one, as Kronos starts on the blue buff instead near the top lane.
Yeah, with the same jungle matchup, I'm not expecting too many things to change. Kronos will farm up to level 6 and then go for his favorite Flash Impale move into a lane of his choice. I do think top lane is still would be still a good choice for Finn to go for, to put down pressure on towards Svenne right now, who on this Scion will have some safety early on, will be able to go toe-to-toe with Finn, but later this Camille will become so much of a nuisance, and without a Tom Kench to save the Asir and the Caitlyn, how will they fare against the Flash Impaling Kronos and a Finn with so much engage potential?
A small invade coming up on towards the blue buff of Atlantis. As Aesthetics we mentioned before, has no mana. He has been spotted, and looks like PPKs are just going to opt to back off as they're pushing a lot down bottom lane, putting down a lot of poke onto Raphael, but Lion, with the extra sustain of the ebb and flow, still keeping his ADC healthy and fresh.
Would have loved to see some aggression on towards Aesthetic. You know how much Olaf needs the mana early on, and we can see how low he's actually going without using any of his potions, as that would make his jungle clear faster with the Olaf passive. Of course, we'll see what happens with these team comps going later on. Last time we spoke about Atlantis having a very strong scaling team comp compared to the one of PPK. But with a change of Corky in towards the mid lane and Camille towards the top lane as well as the Karma in the support role, I think PPK has a lot stronger scaling right now. A 5-6 item Corky later on will be able to absolutely murder everyone, even the big tanks. And a Karma with a AoE shields coming out with a Mantra, with an Ardent Sensor boosting up both Cookie and Eternity with that Ardent. That's going to be a big thing coming into the team fights as well.
Yeah, a lot of damage in PPK. Not too much to mention about the front line, though, this time around, going with the more squishy Karma instead. And of course, no tank up in the top lane either. So that a little problem for them in team fights, that they're really up to Kronos. And of course, rest of the teams are just hold their position.
Last time we did see them go for some split pushing play with Eternity with a Galdi often towards the side lane and Finn off towards the other side lane. And with an even stronger carry pick here for Finn together with Eternity rocking the TP once more, I definitely think that the potential of a 1-3-1 sort of split pushing mid game is there for PPK. They do have a very safe trio of Corky, Ezreal and Karma just sitting under a tower and wave clearing. So setting up for something like that later on could be a definite possibility for them.
Absolutely. Down bottom lane, Atlantis pushing in. This is something we've seen again and again. Raphael and Lion very good at pushing, even versus the Karma together with Ezreal, who have a lot of pre-pushing power they can use to push back.
You can see that Svenne just used his TP to get back top lane, and Finn just uses his at the same time. So Finn could have chosen to save that in order to perhaps have gank pressure on towards the bottom side, but instead really wants to stay healthy with those with the tower up top lane. Raphael took some hurt. We can see right there the power of the Nami, though, being able to sustain the Caitlyn backup. Actually, she used the heal and KRP used the ignite, so they must have been duking it out in a big 2v2 here.
Yeah, I think Cookie and KRP tried to go for a little bit of an all-in. Now Kronos coming down, Flash is still up. Kronos does not have his ultimate, still can go for it. Will avoid the bubble, still going for Raphael, misses his E and has to back off. Caliber net being well used there by Raphael. A little bit of an inner flame with Mantra. It's going to be the only damage dealt onto the bottom lane of Atlantis.
Bit of a mistake there from Kronos, actually using that E, the fracture, early on, not waiting to get in there for a safe, secure landing of that E, allows Raphael and Lion to get away without using either summoner. I do think they could have burned a flash if he would have been more careful with that Skarner E, but hindsight is 2020 after all. As we do see Cookie go back for a very defensive purchase, Tear of the Goddess and Cull as the first buy for this Ezreal, so he really just wants to farm up. And I'm not sure if this is the correct decision up against a very strong 2v2 of Caitlyn Nami.
Yeah, it can be quite annoying on Ezreal. He really wants to have the tier, did not have enough gold to go for anything else. So he's stuck now on the call. Together with the cookies and the extra potions he'll get from Kleptomons, he's going to have a lot of sustain down bottom lane. But yeah, it's not much fighting potential at all versus the BF Sword that Raphael just bought.
Yeah, huge difference in the raw strength of the AD carries there, with so much AD coming in from Raphael compared to no real combat stats of Cookie coming in from the first purchase. Kronos with Impale, with Flash. We know he wants to do his Kronos special, but gets spotted out by a ward, so won't be able to do it right there. But he's still looking for that opportunity, I'm absolutely sure of it.
Yeah, Kronos is always there, really looking to use his flash as soon as it's off cooldown. We saw that in Game 1. We're probably going to see it here again in Game 2. But still a difficult thing to do versus the Nami and Caitlyn. Both have the extra movement speed. You have to worry about the bubble. You have to worry about the 90 caliber net. So it's really hard to get into that position, even with flash, unless, of course, they can force Raphael and Lion to burn their flashes earlier.
I think it's interesting that none of these junglers have really been spending time and attention up towards the top side. That is where Kronos really went last game, to try and snowball Finn's Renekton, and now that Finn is on perhaps even bigger of a 1v1 carry, he's not been getting any jungle attention so far. Still been getting about a 10 CS lead up on Svenny right now, so still doing well, but I think he could have done even better if Kronos would have chosen to invest time right there.
Speaking of Kronos, he is moving towards top lane right now. There is a ward there, so he will be spotted. And Kronos right now is trying to be all over the map. Not really been able to get anything out of it so far. The big question is, how far are they going to go versus Svenny up top lane? Are they even going to try to set up something together with Eternity, as they can go for it when he gets his package?
Yeah, that is definitely a big potential for them right now. Corki, of course, with the passive has a lot of playmaking potential, but he doesn't have that available yet as Aesthetic starts off with a Mountain Dragon. One of the big things about last game was the dragons, which were 2 Cloud and 2 Ocean, not the strongest one for either of the teams. With Atlantis picking up 3 of them, you have to say that they were not too happy with what Elemental Dragon spawned. Now with a Mountain Dragon instead, they're going to be a lot happier because they have a very strong Baron killing team, with Azir providing so much potential at just taking down the Baron, especially if you're going for something like a Liandry's. And then with the Caitlyn Nami, of course, providing a lot of damage as well. So especially if more Mountain Dragons than this one would spawn, the threat of a quick Baron take would definitely be there for Atlantis.
Absolutely. In Game 1 it was PPK who wanted to go for the Baron. This time around we could absolutely see Atlantis instead being the one who tries to force fights around the Purple Worm. Now Eternity has his special delivery up, pushing in mid lane and now moving towards top lane. Might look for something here. Svenny is caught under the turret with no mana. Eternity has a few more seconds left on his passive. Actually seems to opt to stick around mid lane. Not going to use it right now for any fights or any objectives.
Yeah, so package won't be used for Eternity as it is just about to time out, which is quite a big thing when it comes to the Corki, the short duration of the package. Ooh, we are gonna be having a big 3v3 fight in the bottom side though.
Wave coming in, but flash from Kerp, not going to be able to avoid it. Taking heavy damage, unstoppable. Olaf chasing you down, but Lion went a little bit too far. Will have to give away his life for that fight. Now it's another one with the teleports coming in. Finn has arrived, landing onto Raphael, flashes out, still gets the kill, turning back against Sven, and now it's Cookie who jumps forward, goes onto some damage onto the static. Here comes Croxton, he goes in, he has his ultimate, he gets CC'd, turning back now. Here's Eternity, does not have special package, doesn't even need it. Going with the auto attacks instead, has to flash back. Croxton so very low as Svenny was almost completely ignored in that fight. PPK coming out with 3 kills to 1.
And I hate to say it as somewhat of a Svenny fanboy, but top lane difference right there. Finnish comes in, murders Raphael, burns both of his summoners, and is able to control so much of this fight, while Svenny on this side not providing too much in that engagement. So big fight there for PPK. Bit of a mistake from KRP, uses the flash and still gets hit by the tidal wave coming in from Lion, but after all, not too sad with a 3-1 score right now in favor of PPK with about a 1.5k goal lead.
Absolutely. Support for support. I think Gerpi could have gotten out of it if he had flashed just a little bit better, but still it was a very difficult position where he was stuck between a rock and a hard place. But PPK using every single summoner spell, as Atlantis also used every single summoner spell except for the one flash up on Svenny for the top lane.
And forcing a fighter on the bottom side when your AD carry is sitting on Cull tier and the enemy AD carry is sitting on BF sword, that is a big, brave decision for PPK. I mean, with such an item difference, that's really not a fight you generally want to take. They were just outplaying their opponents, and they're about to have a big power spike come in with Triforces completing on Finn and Eternity. And with so much built-in synergy in that item, it is going to be a big point where I'd like to see PPK try to force a fight. And with the package coming up pretty soon from Eternity, I think that would time up quite well. So Triforce on Corki and the Camille, and a package on Corki as well. That's when I want to see PPK go for a big engagement and start a big fight.
Absolutely. Cookie has delayed his try. He could go for into Triforce, or of course going for the Iceborne Gauntlet. He has delayed it a bit, instead going for the raw attack damage with the Muramana. Oh, engage coming up in mid lane. A huge ultimate by Svenny picks up an easy kill on Eternity.
And he's making me eat my words right now. Great unstoppable onslaught from Svenny. That is not a skill shot, that is easy to land, and he is able to take down Eternity. Here we go, the Aesthetic might be overconfident in the enemy jungle.
Using Ragnarok to run away. I think he has enough HP to survive it, but no, a fantastic wait! And Kronos picks him up with the Impale, donating the kill to KRP. Bottom lane turret, though, is going to be donated to Atlantis, as there was a lot of focus chasing down Aesthetic, leaving bottom lane turret completely open.
This is very important. You might think that that's a great thing for PPK, that they're able to find out Aesthetic in the jungle, but taking him so long to go down with a Ninja Tabai with the health from a jungle item, that means that Raphael and Lion actually gets bottom lane tower, and that means that even though a kill has went over to Cookie, he's just 400 gold ahead of Raphael, who was able to get the tower kill right there. So still a pretty decent turn of events from Atlantis, able to get the bottom lane tower. And right now, Raphael and Lion are going towards the mid lane. They're looking to push down this tower, as Eternity right now is in bot side.
Atlantis again showing they have the better macro game, but PPK will soon have their Trinity Forces completed. That is the first Trinity Force on their team, 14 minutes in, and will very soon have the second one on Eternity as well. You mentioned it earlier, Eternity with the special delivery package as well. They will have so much team fighting power when that spike hits.
That is when I want to see them force a fight. There is going to be a dragon up in 40 seconds to force the fight around, and it is an Infernal, so that is definitely something that both of these teams want to contest. With Cookie up towards the top side right now, though, he is realizing that he is needed at the dragon, so he's just going to be pushing this wave real quickly and then go down, but takes a lot of punishment from Svenny. You could not believe that that's coming out from a full tank.
Yes, Svenny playing very smart up there, forcing Cookie to back off with low HPs. Cookie, though, I think he found some honeydew around the river, so he is still decently healthy. Already used his ultimate, will try to farm that up with his Mystic shots right now before the fight starts. Dragon has spawned. Atlantis have the better position right now, but the question is, do they have the better team fight power?
They have package and 2 Triforces. I definitely think PPK has a good chance to go for a fight right here. Finn and Svenny both have TPs. Here we go.
Kronos rooted, taking some damage, managed to get out, avoids the ultimate from Lion. Now rotating back again. Good poke from Eternity. Rift Scuttler will go to Atlantis. It looks like PPK opted to not fight at the moment. Svenny already used his ultimate as well.
Yeah, he used the ulti to come down to the dragon, and it's actually going to go over very quickly to Atlantis as that rocket is dangerously close to stealing the Infernal Dragon away. Instead, a Rift Herald is summoned in the mid lane. Cookie might be out of position here.
Cookie is definitely out of position, but he gets out of a bad spot. No, scratch that. Flash coming in, and Cookie flashes out. Kronos is instead the one taking the hurt. Eternity on the only one in the front line dealing any damage, as Kronos was killed in seconds. And PPK, very undecisive what they wanted to do there.
And this might be the caster curse. I criticized Svenny once in the bottom side. He makes a great mid lane gank, and then he makes a great team fight happen as well. 5v4s, Finn was still up and towards the top side. Managed to get the tower in the end, but still, I think that's a great turn of events for Atlantis. They are slowly catching up, and with just a 1k gold lead, with both a Mountain and an Infernal Dragon going over, I'd rather be in Atlantis' shoes right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Atlantis again with a strong early game. Even though they're behind in gold, they got the Mountain Dragon, they got the Infernal Dragon. They're avoiding the fights they don't want versus PPK. As PPK tries to force fights, he gets poked out and have to go back again. Well, PPK right now showing again that they're absolutely a strong team fighting team, but in the early game, that's where they're at their lowest.
We did see Atlantis with a great early game last time, though. They were able to shut down both the mid and the bottom side, and that's not what we're seeing here. We are seeing Cookie and Eternity going toe-to-toe with Krogsen and Raphael in those positions. Cookie with an unlocked call right now actually had enough gold to go and finish that Iceborne Gauntlet immediately. Also an interesting item difference here in the support position is that Lion has chosen to rush straight for that Ardent Sensor, while KRP has chosen to finish out his Remnant of the Watchers, the support item, before doing that. So going to be a bit of a later Ardent for KRP. I do think he's going to get more out of it, though. When he goes for the AoE Karma Shield, it's going to give the Ardent buff to Ezreal, Corki, and actually Camille is also going to find that buff relevant.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the Nami instead, you can only heal at max 2 of your allies at the same time, and even then you have to do a little bit of a dance to get the ebb and flow, to get the perfect spot where you get a double heal. So I'm not quite sure about the Ardent Sensor, but here down bottom lane, Finn avoiding some of the damage that Sven jukes out just to stay alive, but then has to flash away in this lane, just getting the Trinity Force, having 30 CS up, still actually losing out in that fight, getting a little bit too cocky under the turret.
Yeah, exactly. The tower there is the key. I think Finn went too aggressive under the tower of Sven and was locked up by the immense CC coming out of the side, and forcing Camille to flash is actually going to be really big, because with some good power spikes right now, with a strong Corki, with a strong Skarner, I would have suspected PPK to try and start up a fight pretty soon, and that flash on the Camille to be able to like hookshot flash and use those skills in combination gives your engage so much more range, but without that summoner spell available, not going to be there for Finn, and that is a big win for Svenny and Team Atlantis.
Yeah, absolutely. Atlantis doing a good job, just staying relevant on the map, stalling quite a bit. It's very similar to game 1, where PPK had the earlier spike. They got some control. And Atlantis, though, for game 1 had much better laning, as for this one, they're ahead in CS in both mid and bottom lane, but their top lane, again, versus Finn, is the one being sacrificed. Sacrificial Labs, Svenny, still making a lot of plays with his ultimate, but lacking just a little bit gold in comparison to his top lane opponent.
It's a bit ahead with the auto-attacking nature of every champion on PPK, pretty much except for the Karma. These linear tab are going to be very strong, though. Here we might go for an engage. Nami has so good disengage, though. Kronos has to run away.
Tidal Wave being put to good use, but here comes the ultimate from Svenny. We'll find Cookie. Cookie just barely dodges it. Manages to get out. Stuck a little bit for a second on an invisible trap behind the turret. The main lane turret is going to go down. Atlantis is again so good at pushing, going in for this big plays. Oh, Croxton tries to make a big play. Is caught out instead by Finn. Has to run away from that quickly. Finn did not have his flash there. Did not matter. Intercepted the ultimate he knew Croxton wanted to do.
There must have been some miscommunication right there. Kronos and Eternity was off to the side. I actually think Kronos had recalled right there. I think if PPK would have had 5 people there, that Hextech ultimatum from Finn onto Croxton was really nice. They could have been shutting down the Azir, but without everyone there, that's definitely not a fight that you want to take. So slight miscommunication there, punishing PPK.
Finn now in the side lane again. Going for bottom, wants to have the turret, still on healthy HP, so it's going to take a while, especially since Svenne is so tanky. Still staying relevant on his Sion. This game around has not died at all. It's not been any focus on the top lane. So it's just been a complete farm festival for these two players. Kronos going for the Baron, just getting one auto attack off a little bit. Whoops.
We are 21 minutes in, and there is still no Sightstone online. I think this is important, because KRP chose to go for completing his support item first. He now has the wards, and Lion, as we're 21 minutes in, with the Ardent Rush, still does not have any wards to put down from that item. And with the Baron now being a big threat on towards the board, sure, PPK does not have the best Baron killing team, but not the worst either. Not having the wards from your support could hurt you for the next couple of minutes until he recalls and actually gets that support item to be able to get the Sightstone.
Yeah, Cookie being very annoying on his Ezreal. Just finding any position he can with an Arcane Shift and poke. And Atlantis really don't dare to use those short timing windows where Cookie has his Arcane Shift on cooldown. Here Svenne has been caught out, 2 versus 1 down bottom lane. Ultimate as well coming in from Cookie, and that is a very dead top laner. Croxton though on top side is going to get the turret, so again, global gold to Atlantis. 1 kill for PPK, although PPK will be able to find the bottom lane turret as well.
Still somewhat ahead in the gold right now, even though Croxton was able to take that down. He is looking for the flank now. The Kronos flashes forward.
Kronos flashing in, does not find any target, has to back off, kiting back and forth, avoiding Olaf right now. Is unstoppable with the Ragnarok, but not enough damage to actually do anything about it. So Kronos attempts his classical flash play, but does not find anything.
Ooh, that was some quick fingers there from Atlantis, being able to get away from Kronos, and they are eyeing the Baron. They have a strong Baron take with the Seer. They do have a Mountain Dragon. They do have a lot of tankiness from Svenne as well. Cannot start it right now, but if PPK ever slips up on the Dragon control, Atlantis could take down this Baron quite quickly.
Atlantis absolutely looking to get back in control, at least removing a lot of the wards from PPK, getting their own out. And again, pushing down mid lane.
Yeah, Finn using that TP means that he can't be as confident on towards his side lane. Really has to stay close to his team, as the Baron is a big threat. So if the TP would have been available, he could have really tried to punish this tower and make that go down. He's actually still going to go for it. But with the TP, he could have been playing even more confidently. I do think Eternity has not made the best use of his TP this game. On the Corki, you definitely can make some things happen on towards the side lane. Still going to be just farming it out, absolutely neck and neck with Kroxton at the same point in time where he was something like 50 CS down last time. I definitely think both Eternity and the bottom lane of PPK has been shaping up.
Yeah, absolutely. Eternity with the double kill as well. Died once, of course. Not been putting his packages to that good use, but at least putting pressure on the map with them. Still always let them time out. PPK now again, trying to get back some Baron control.
Here comes Svenne.
Svenne going for Cookie and finds the perfect ultimate as Cookie jumps away only to get hit anyway. Kronos being the main focus right now. He has nowhere to run, gets the shield and actually gets out as Finn is on the back line. He finds 1 kill, going also for Lion. It's so tanky, Lion dodging back and forth, actually dodges away and finally finished off by KRP instead. 1 versus 1 now, Eternity being knocked away by Croxton. 1 more auto attack will do it, and Croxton picks up the kill. Being followed up now also by a static. Svenne, 1 versus 1 to get it. It's top lane with top lane, but Svenne so low, no more shield, nowhere to run as he finally goes down. Finn now looking for more, looking for Crocs, and can he find him? He gets the slow, and he gets the double kill. Turning back again, gets the final little knockdown there on Svenny's passive as Aesthetic runs away. But a huge and very messy fight.
Very messy fight there, back and forth. Gotta compliment Svenny once more, making use of that unstoppable onslaught. Able to just one-shot Cookie pretty much. Big play on that side to start up a fight, but there is no one who can deal with Finn right now. On this Camille, 3-0 and 3. That is 50 CS up on towards Svenny. He's gonna be recalling and finishing off a Titanic Hydra right now. There it is in his inventory. So this is gonna be a Finn that no one on Atlantis really knows how to deal with. Sure, you can keep her away slightly with the disengage from the Nami and the Asir. This is Baron started up though.
Yeah, Baron has been started. No vision for Atlantis. They are moving forward. Finn still is in a good position where he can
Frogson
engage.
is not here.
Baron very low. One smite will do it, and not even gonna have to use it. Baron now over to PPK, chasing down this initiate as well. No flash for Kronos, will not be able to flash Impale anything.
Oh.
Frogson on the side, poking away, just forcing PPK to back off. But still, that is a Baron 26 minutes in the hands of PPK.
And this game has been very close in like the first 25 minutes, but the latest fight there and the Baron take means that PPK now has a pretty good advantage. Cloud Dragon could go over here to Atlantis as PPK won't be in position for that. I don't think PPK are too sad about that though. They're just looking to reset and they're looking to come back with a strong Baron fight right now. Ardent Sensor completed on KRP. Blade of the Ruined King completed for Cookie. Infinity Edge completed for Eternity. So many of these key damage items are now done for PPK.
Absolutely. And also Finn on his Camille was banned in game 1. Now in game 2 it was left open. It looked like Atlantis had like a clear game plan around it and trying to force just leads in their other lanes. Instead, PPK just answered by being very defensive, playing very decisively and smart around their Camille. And now for the team fights, it's all about Finn. The rest of the team is backing off, kiting and waiting, and Finn was, I think, on like full HP that entire fight, picking up 2 kills just on his own.
Yeah, for sure, and he's showing that Camille is not this like Trinamir variant of a champion that just sits in the side lane, just split pushes all day long. No, this Camille has big teamfight presence with both a Hextech Ultimatum, which he, by the way, beautifully used to deny the chance of a smite steal from Aesthetic by just using it on that Olaf. He also wants the hookshot to have so much presence in these team fights. He's taking some punishment here from Svenny though, but he's going to be confident with the Baron buff boosting him up as well. You can see the Caitlyn traps and the Asir wave clear doing a good job of keeping the towers safe for Atlantis though. So quite a long time of this Baron. More than half of the Baron has already went away without PPK getting any objective, I believe.
This is the problem that PPK will have to face and will have to find a way around. They don't have that great of a siege potential. Sure, with Baron, it's much easier to siege, and of course Finn can handle his solo lane, no problem. They're still not like Atlantis can start any fight, but they have great wave clear, and it's very hard to go through it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do think Atlantis are pretty happy right now with how this Baron buff has been going. Even if bottom lane tower goes...
Oh, flash coming in, but Crocs immediately reaction with the Quicksilver Sash, and he gets out. There's another flash by Kronos, and Kronos, I think, is like the kind of Skarner that is very passive unless he has his flash. Turret finally goes down, but an important summoner spell used.
Yeah, you can see Kronos barely using his flash. Sorry, barely going for aggressive plays unless he has the flash available, and then he just goes super ham. You do really have to look if the target you've chosen has a QSS though, and since Krogson had it, didn't actually do too much, wasting that Skarner flash so much. Still got the bottom lane tower. Top lane tier 2 went down as well, and if Cookie and Kronos are able to break mid tier 2 as well, this is going to be about a 10k gold lead for PPK should this tower go down. Looks like Finn might be looking for an engage though towards the side, but Atlantis backs off, tower goes down, and a 10k gold lead for PPK.
Fantastic position also by Finn, not really having to go for initiation, just waiting around the bushes, forcing the backline of Atlantis to back off and finally allow the mid lane turret to go down. That's 3 tier 2 turrets. Like you just mentioned, it's 10k gold lead, actually more like 9k gold lead actually for PPK, but still a fantastic spot to be in 30 minutes into the game.
You can see most of that gold lead is in the top, still top lane. That's about a 4k gold advantage for Finn over Svenny. Level 17 versus level 15. Just compare him to like Lion and KRP are sitting at level 12. This Camille is absolutely huge from Finn. He's going to be very hard to deal with in the team fights. And you have some disengage from both Asir and the Nami that are going to be able to be used defensively and towards most champions, but Camille is one of those champions with all the mobility from her hook shots, as well as the Hextech ultimatum to not allow anyone to get out of that. It's going to be really hard to keep Finn down on this Camille. I'm really looking forward to see how Atlantis tries to do it in the team fights, though, because this is either going to be Finn popping off, killing the carries, or it's going to be him getting shut down by something like a Nami or an Azir.
Absolutely, but to be able to shut him down, you have to hit him with the CC. I think Lion is now holding on to his ultimate, just waiting with a tidal wave, but of course it can be avoided as well by Finn's ultimate, so it's so hard to keep Raphael safe. We saw that in the earlier fight where Lion was on top of Raphael the entire time. He was trying to defend him, and still Finn just got through it. And now look at the ward coverage around the top lane. There are wards absolutely everywhere, almost completely denying Atlantis any vision. They have one lonely control ward in the bush closest to their base, and that's it. So if they venture out into their own jungle, they can find themselves in a heap of trouble, as PPK now finally happy with this are recalling and gearing up for the next fight. As Dragon is up in 1 minute and Baron is up in 1.5.
That is map control for you right there. Ladies and gentlemen, across the board, and you can see in the inventory why that is. Control wards on everyone, 3 control wards onto 3 members. I do believe there's at least one of them rocking the zombie wards as well to get that extra vision. So PPK definitely doing a great job at controlling this vision. And with Baron spawning in 1 minute, that's going to be really big to control that. We did see some long Baron dances last time around. See if Atlantis can come out better this time than last time.
Atlantis has been able to catch Cookie out of position at least once, and they need to find more of that. They need to just be able to get a decisive ultimate together with Svenja's unstoppable onslaught and just go for it big, because in these long drawn-out fights, it's just Cookie poking everything. Eternity is there to poke everything, and Finn just has so much utility and sustain to go for the backline, just wait for anyone to be out of position. It's a very difficult game now for Atlantis if they want to turn it around.
That is going to be very big for them. Cookie takes a bit of punishment, but with a lifesteal from the Blade of the Ruin King, he's going to be absolutely fine. Ooh, Finn goes for an all-in onto Sven. He's 2 levels up here.
Finn, big Camille down here, actually forcing that enemy tank back off with his ultimate.
Ooh, Aesthetic forced to flash.
Aesthetic also forced to flash. This might be a Baron. Bot lane turret has gone down. Finn still chasing this, has to flash away though as Krogsson arrives to save his top lane just before he goes down. But Baron is the main focus for PPK, and as Finn forces Atlantis to back off, Baron is the name of the objective. It's very low. Aesthetic going in for it. Will he be able to smite steal it? No, he is not. Very close. But the suppress is there, and Ragnarok is not going to be able to save him. That's the Baron for PPK, chasing it down now as Lion is the main target for Eternity together with Cookie. Down bottom lane, there is Finn, finds another kill, has forced Svenny away, kills Krogsson, and now going for the inhibitor.
4 kills going over to PPK, Baron going over to PPK, and I am not sure if this is going to be the game going over to PPK. Some long death timers on Atlantis. They're going to go for the Nexus. Svenny is alone right here.
Svenny is lonely. He will have to defend this on his own. 15 more seconds until Aesthetic rejoins him. Finn forcing him away, keeps him at bay. Meanwhile, the rest of the team is on to the Nexus turrets. They're going for the Nexus. Sven can't do anything about this. That's the Nexus, that's the game, and that is the win for PPK.
Really big last fight right there. You could see how much attention Blomster Finn took from the enemy team, dragging 2 members down to the bottom side as Baron was taken, as the Baron fight was started, and then a super close 50-50 around the Baron, which ends with Aesthetic using his might, Kronos not using his might, and Eternity securing the Baron.
That was a very close one. And of course, you have to be able to time your smite correctly. A little bit missed timing from Kronos there still led to a Baron for PPK and the win. Textbook split push, really, having Finn force 2 members of Atlantis to go and face him just to save their inhibitor, and the immediate focus from PPK onto the Baron.
Don't see Camille getting through the bans next time around, that's for sure. He was a big thorn in the side of Atlantis this time around. We saw a similar start to the last game. It played out to begin with, the lanes were very even, the top focus was there, but when those first few skirmishes started, whereas last time around they were pretty even, Renekton was a thing, but he couldn't really kill anyone. Camille this time instead just went to town and started picking off anyone that was a little bit out of position and snowballed hard from there. And you could see it right at the end there, dealing with Sion on their bottom lane. There was nothing they could do.
Yeah, you could see like how much more of a presence in the team fights and the split pushing that Camille has compared to the Renekton. So much longer range when you're engaged, so much more CC and utility, and not to speak of the damage, like forcing the big tank Sion to just ult the away because there's no way he can deal with a Camille. And then a bit of a weird decision there towards the last fight, sending the Asir down to the bottom lane to take a 1v1 with the Camille while trying to kind of steal Baron with 3 people. Not sure if that was the correct decision from Atlantis, but in the end they had no way of dealing with the Camille.
It was clear at that point they didn't really have many options left, so at that point it did feel like a last ditch. Let's have a look at some of the replays from that game, of course, and see some of the highlight moments as we check it a bit more. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Nami, in fact, as we see her kick off a little bit here. She did have a lot of control in that bottom lane.
Yeah, for sure. With a sustained champion up against a poke champ like the Karma, she's going to be able to come out on top in that extended duel, but we can see that Finn just bursts down Raphael right now. Well, Sven is not actually contributing too much to his team right there. This was a really sweet Sion play, though, wasting the Hextech ultimatum as well and shutting down the big carry of Cookie. I criticized Sven earlier, but I think he played a good game on this Sion. This loss was not down to him as an individual player.
No, absolutely.
That play exactly as you there. They picked off Cookie. It was a great little Sion ultimate to finish it. But even with that one-man advantage, it was still an easy fight for Camille to jump back in after she picked off the Caitlyn and snowball that fight back into PPK's favor.
And we can see right here on the minimap actually that the Croxon tries to interrupt the recall of Finn, but just gets one shot before he could do anything. And I said it before, but Atlantis had no way of dealing with Finn this game.
Yeah, so safe to say that's going to be back in the ban pool for the next game, unless there's nothing. It's going to be in the ban pool for the next game, so Camille will be out of the picture again. So that top lane still being the focus, but we'll find out exactly what they choose to do after this short break as we come back for game number 3. PPK are up 2-0. All to play for now for Atlantis.